sometimes it's just your Wi-Fi. So I'm just going to start over again. I'm here to address the confusion that I personally had about the bigotry of low expectations, the mediocre jobs that we're calling, or not but some folks are calling the folks who drive buses and folks who are traditionally service workers. And I think that sometimes, as attorneys, we can forget about where we came from and how important those roles are. And so I'm here because I thought long and hard about what it meant to come from a grandmother who was a nurse, a grandfather who had his own electrician business and made it in the jet chat, be an electrician. My grandmother, Granny, who was an inspector for the quality control line at Boeing. My grandfather, Gramps, who was a Pullman porter. Shout out to A. Philip Randolph. And all of them were service workers. All of them at some point could have been deemed mediocre. And what I would say to you all as a caveat and to just lay this groundwork initially on a micro level, we to fail, and at every turn we have overcome. Whether you're looking at the Black women who continue to formulate and develop businesses in this country only to hit a ceiling of 70 access. I don't know what's going on with this connection, but all I'm saying is I'm doing all that I can with the gifts that I know that I have, the potential that I know that I'm walking in, and that does not beget access to a cap table, right? Especially because we know how we look, we know who we are, we're very clear about all of that. So what I would say is, if we are mediocre at all, as a people, I'm just speaking very generally here. If we are mediocre at all as a people, the culture, if we're mediocre at all, it is because of the very whack ass circumstances we've been placed in, and we've thrived and we've survived. And so what I would say to us is to avoid the Bill Cosby rhetoric, like we've seen where that's landed him. We don't have any place for that in our culture. We don't need to pull ourselves up by bootstraps when we, for whatever reason, have not been given the boots. We know what the reason is. So you can't pull yourself up. You can't condition yourself out of mediocrity. You have to be provided a different kind of playing field. And so I would challenge all of us to focus on equity, to focus on access, to focus on the things that change the conditioning, the current circumstance, the environment. Those are the things we need to focus on. And meanwhile, we need to shout out every person in our family, every person in our community that makes a difference for us, that has made our lives possible. There are folks in our community who were able to buy their first homes, those homes still in their families because they were in these mediocre jobs, being exceptional, doing the best they could with what they have. And everybody else who's coasting, that's up to them. But we've got to be very careful with our words. So what I would tell you all is that we should continue to stay resilient, that we should continue to live and exist in our power, that we should continue to be overcomers and conquerors and know that there is better for us, and we especially will be better off if we continue to challenge the system and change the game. But in the meantime, we don't need to boo-boo or poo-poo on anybody and where they currently are, where they find themselves. We do not know how they got there. We don't know what else they're trying to do, what else they have going on for themselves. That's just not our role. So I hope that this clears it up for some of us. And this is also a great moment for Black folks. You know why? It's very clear we're not monolithic. We see things different ways. Language triggers us in different ways. We need to be responsible with our words and be very clear about what we're trying to communicate. So what I hope that y'all hear from me today is I stand with the sanitation worker, the bus driver, the school teacher, my auntie who was a librarian before she passed, my uncle who was a painter before he passed, everybody who's made it